This state's ballot process was meant to give power to the people. To wield that power, the people need to have a lot of money. Colorado's Democratic Party goes silent after offering a misleading statement about an indicted state senator. A new law cracks down on predatory towing. Will explain what's changed and what hasn't. When a family faces an unimaginable loss, a group in northern Colorado helps those families find hope. This week, we can help them expand their work. The Broncos have new billionaires running the team. Perhaps you at home would like to gift those billionaires a new stadium.
Finding the space is the most challenging part for everyone. That's why we don't have as many drummers as we have other instruments.
Old buildings are turning into small studios. So let's rock. This is next. Colorado's ballot initiative process is a way for the people to make choices, no matter what the wealthy, powerful interests want. Nowadays, we usually get to vote on whatever the wealthy, powerful interests want to put on our ballots. Our Cole Sullivan explains how the process is getting harder for grassroots campaigns.
Proposed Initiative 63 didn't ask for much. It would send 1/3 of 1% of income tax already collected to the state's education fund.
For the purpose of attracting, recruiting, retaining, and paying teachers and student support services.
Money for teachers in a ballot initiative education advocates say voters liked.
It had support that was stronger than any other polling that we've seen in decades.
But this week, Initiative 63 failed. Even with 600 volunteers on street corners across the state, the project did not collect enough signatures to make the ballot.
The voters want this, but there are barriers in the way of them getting to exercise their values.
The barrier, 124,632. That's the required number of signatures, 5% of the total number of votes in the 2018 Secretary of State's race. A number of signatures that's a lot easier to achieve if you pay the people collecting them.
It definitely puts a bias towards things getting on the ballot that have money behind them. There's already a lot of that in our politics.
Paul Teske is the dean of the public affairs school at CU Denver. He says it's harder for grassroots groups to get on the ballot these days. Because there are more voters in Colorado, the number of signatures required has gone up, meaning the groups that can pay have an advantage.
They can get it on the ballot because of that. And, it may or may not be a good idea, but they have the money to bring it forward.
Money the education advocates just didn't have.
It has just come to a place where you can't get on the ballot unless you have significant resources, a lot of funding.
Every one of the initiatives that could still make the ballot this year had paid companies collecting signatures. For their part, the education advocates say they haven't given up. They'll lobby lawmakers to do something, or they'll try again next election year.
So, Cole, I've got an idea. I want to put it on the ballot. Straight up, how much cash do I need?
Strategists say about $2 million, and that's because you don't just need the 125,000 signatures. You need a lot more, about 220,000. Assuming some of those will get whittled down in the verification process.
And there's just no way to do it with volunteers. You got to pay people to get that many signatures and get them good. All right. Cole Sullivan, hey, welcome to Next for the first time.
Thank you.
We are still not getting straight answers from the Colorado Democratic Party after Democratic Senator Pete Lee of Colorado Springs was indicted on a felony. An audio recording shows Lee saying that the Democratic Party's attorney was warning him he was in possible legal trouble for registering to vote at a home where he didn't live. The Democratic Party denied knowing anything about this yesterday before they knew that we had the tape. Lee faces a felony for registering to vote at this small house that he owns inside his district and not at the large home that he owns with his wife on the other side of the city, outside of his district. In an audio recording from the Senate in 2020, Lee is overheard saying that all of this could lead to a felony charge. He talks on this tape about how he had gone to now Democratic Senate President Steve Fenberg, who directed him to the Democratic Party's attorney, Martha Tierney, who did research for him on the issue. On this tape, Lee is heard acknowledging he doesn't ever sleep at that rental property where he claims he lived and was registered to vote.
I don't spend the nights there. And so that's a little bit of a challenge. And, so I just don't know what the hell's going to come of it.
What came of it was a grand jury indictment. The Colorado Democratic Party falsely denied that they were not aware of this residency issue until yesterday. Since we have pointed out that they were in fact aware, the Democratic Party has stopped responding to our questions. The steel plant down in Pueblo, the one owned by a Russian oligarch, is going to get a new owner. Roman Abramovich owns Evraz, and then that multinational steel company owns Evraz North America. Abramovich announced today he is going to sell off the company's North American assets, so that includes the Rocky Mountain Steel Mill in Pueblo. Abramovich escaped American sanctions following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, apparently because Abramovich was trying to broker some kind of a peace deal, but the United Kingdom sanctioned Evraz and froze Abramovich's assets. Coloradans are not buying as much marijuana as we did in the good old days. And by good old days, I mean the bad old days, like during the beginning of the pandemic. Take just the first month of June. $146 million in marijuana sales this June. It was $187 million last June. Let's look at the year-to-date pot sales. Through June, it's about $900 million worth. Last year was $1.15 billion. We keep trending down from that spike in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. Drop in sales means less funding for the public programs supported by pot taxes. This year, the state has collected considerably less in sales tax revenue. The shift continues. We see fewer medical marijuana purchases, more recreational marijuana purchases. June was the lowest month for medical marijuana sales since recreational sales began back in 2014. That said, Denver's marijuana regulators tell us that they have not seen that lead to the closure of any pot shops. We're actually getting some feedback on a related topic, whether marijuana tax revenue could make up the nearly $10 billion budget gap proposed by the Republican candidate for governor. If you were here last night, you heard Republican gubernatorial candidate Heidi Ganahl say that she wants to eliminate Colorado's income tax. But Ganahl would not say which other taxes she would raise to make up for it or what programs she would cut if the state just lost 2/3 of its general fund. If you diverted every dollar of marijuana taxes from what they currently fund, including school construction, it would cover a bit less than 5% of Ganahl's nearly $10 billion gap if we did not have Colorado's income tax. If you are parked illegally in a private lot right now, what are you doing? Pause me. Go move your car. Don't be a fool. But there's a new law that might give you more time before your car's towed. This so-called towing bill of rights is now the law in our state. Our Noel Brennan looks at what has changed and what has not.
Many of us can tell a tow horror story.
I have been towed.
Like Nikita Ricks.
So I had to pay $360 to retrieve my car within less than 24 hours.
Ricks also happens to be a state rep, a Democrat who sponsored a bill that's now law.
This law basically is a complete overhaul of towing in Colorado.
As of Wednesday, tow truck companies can no longer tow from apartments, condos, or mobile home parks without giving 24 hours written notice. They can no longer tow for expired tags either. And before any tow, they have to take pictures of your car, proving you're parked illegally.
In all situations, the tow truck companies acted as a bail bondsman, a judge, and a jury. They basically decided everything around towing. Now they do have to prove that you are violating the law.
But tows can still happen without notice.
What the statute requires is very similar to what most housing providers have been doing all along. They tow without notice for more emergency type towing situations and provide 24-hour notice for things that don't have to be resolved so quickly.
Drew Hamrick with the Colorado Apartment Association points to examples like parking in a fire lane or a handicap spot, or stealing someone's assigned paid spot. That'll still get you towed.
That encompasses about 95% of the reason people's cars get towed, so it's not going to be a big change.
But it's the hope of lawmakers.
I do.
There will be fewer tow horror stories to tell.
This will bring relief to consumers and to drivers here in Colorado.
So no one likes the bill that comes with an unexpected tow, and this new law helps people who simply can't afford it right away. It actually allows you to put down 15%, up to $60, get your car back if you sign an agreement with the tow company, Kyle, saying that you agree to pay that amount in full.
And there are going to be new rules about signs to hopefully give people a heads up.
Right, so property owners, you have to post signs saying clearly what the rules are when it comes to towing. Those have to be visible. You have to be able to read them. And then the tow companies themselves, Kyle, at their businesses, they have to post signs showing the maximum amount that they could charge if you get towed. So there's no surprises.
No surprises is the hope. All right, Noel Brennan, thank you. When a family in northern Colorado loses a child, No matter the circumstance, no matter the child's age, those families then find unexpected support and friendship from a group of other families who know that pain. Your Word of Thanks microgiving campaign this week is supporting the nonprofit 3 Hopeful Hearts as it expands its work to give families a path through grief. This week, teenagers who have lost a sibling are gathering at Camp Braveheart, a place where they spend time with other kids who understand what they're going through and learn coping skills for the future. The same nonprofit also holds couples retreats led by bereaved parents who guide couples through grieving a child as they're trying to hold their marriage and hold their family together. 3 Hopeful Hearts told me that they would like to expand their work and their support programs to include whole family retreats where parents and their surviving children could gather with other families who have also lost a child and work to find hope after their loss. It's not an easy thing to talk about for anybody. It's especially hard for parents who have not experienced the loss of a child to even contemplate it. 3 Hopeful Hearts and the people behind it have experience that no parent wants to have, and they generously share that with other Coloradans to provide healing and hope. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491. I'll send you that link to donate. As always, I'll never ask you to give if I don't, so I'll match the first 50 donations of $5. When parents in Colorado get the worst news imaginable, 3 Hopeful Hearts stands ready to show them how other families have found a way forward. There are new billionaires in charge of the Broncos. Would they like us to buy them a new stadium?
At this point, Empower Field at Mile High is a terrific facility.
Hold on to your wallet, because that did not sound like a no. Finding space to rock out can be tough.
Yeah, where I live, I do have drums, but it's not always playable.
Some small spaces are giving musicians a chance to find their talent. We'll go there next.
Another hot summer day across the metro area in and around the Front Range. We have just been sizzling with temperatures in the 90s, but hey, at least we've been getting some great views with those blue skies. 95 officially out of DIA, 90s off to the eastern plains, up toward Kremling, Steamboat, Meeker, Eagle also in the 90s. We are tracking just a couple of isolated showers to the west of Vail. Otherwise, those should push out within the next couple of hours. And early tomorrow, it should be a gorgeous start to your day. Thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon will be a bit more widespread. However, they will stay up into the high country. Maybe 1 or 2 quick little showers on the south side of town. Otherwise, this ridge of high pressure continues to strengthen. That means we're heading into record territory tomorrow and on Friday. Our current record here in Denver, 97, last set back in 2020. Looks like it'll be a tie and then close to triple digits for us Friday with a better chance of storms and a cool off coming our way finally next week.
There is a new owner in town, 6 of them, in fact, for the Denver Broncos. Means that the Pat Bowlen era is over. The Walton Penner Group, led by Walmart heir Rob Walton, were introduced Broncos headquarters this afternoon. By now, you likely know that the group includes former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, as well as Melody Hobson. Greg Penner, Walton's son-in-law, is the man who will likely take the lead in running the organization day-to-day as CEO. And right off the bat today, he was asked a question that I predict we'll be revisiting a lot on next. Does this group of billionaires expect Colorado taxpayers to buy him a new stadium?
We really don't have a view on that yet. It is early. We just closed today, so part of your question was assuming we were going to build a new stadium, and at this point, Empower Field at Mile High is a terrific facility. It's hosted world-class sporting and entertainment events. We've got a partnership with the stadium district, and with 10 years left on our lease, we've got some time to go out and see what the different options are, consider everything, and then make a decision.
Something to keep in mind, the Waltons are the richest owners in the NFL by a mile. So if they wanted to pay for their own stadium, like Rams owner Stan Kroenke did in L.A., they could do that. Rob Walton's worth $58 billion alone. The next richest owner is David Tepper with the Broncos. So Walton's worth $58 billion. Tepper's worth $17 billion. Something to keep in mind if we're ever told that building a bigger and better and more profitable stadium for them should be your job. Old spaces are getting a new purpose.
Drums are very loud, they're very large, and it's pretty expensive to get good equipment.
This used to be where we go to withdraw our money. Now you go there to rock. Next. Something dumb fell out of my mouth hole just a moment ago. When we were talking about the relative net worth of various NFL owners, I referred to David Tepper as the owner of the Broncos. He, of course, is not. He's the owner of the Panthers. He's worth a measly $17 billion to our Rob Walton, Broncos owner's $58 billion. So remember when ATMs used to live in those little houses? A lot of those small buildings have gone unused for years. An entrepreneur who used to work in northern Colorado found a new use for them.
It's hard to have the place to put all of these parts, and then it's hard to travel with these, and then it's even harder to have neighbors that are understanding. Yeah, where I live I do have drums, but it's not always playable. Okay, my name is Mirna. I've been playing the drums since I was a child, but it was a hobby, and then recently, the last 4 years, I focused more on it to be more professional. This space is called Drum Box.
Yeah, that was also a walk-in ATM that was built in the 80s.
Jake is the founder and the owner of Drum Box.
Drum Box is a place for people to be able to play real drums out loud and have their own space to not bother anyone.
It's for me or people like me to come in and either practice in a place where no one is going to complain about the noise.
You book sessions online, you get the place to yourself, and everything's provided.
My main goal in life has been to empower women or people that are not seen, minorities, and so I've seen very little women play the drums, and maybe even less playing metal or extreme metal. It is important. It expresses who I am. It shows that women can do things. Me having a space to do that is necessary, because then that will guarantee that I'll continue to have a place to learn more, get better.
Yeah, that's the best thing. That's what makes me really happy and really excited, is just knowing when somebody is really getting use of the space.
They have got a couple of locations in northern Colorado right now, and they're looking to add one in Nashville as well. This week, we can do something to support and encourage Coloradans, parents who've lost a child. That and your feedback next. Three Hopeful Hearts, a nonprofit in northern Colorado, provides what it calls grief companionship. What that really means is that when a family loses a baby or a child, the people of Three Hopeful Hearts are there, offering compassion and guidance, even hope that there is life after loss, because they have been there. They want to add to their couples retreats and their teen retreats, whole family retreats, to help entire families that have suffered that unimaginable loss, so those families can try to stay knit together through their grief. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491. You can join me in supporting their work through this week's Word of Thanks campaign. It's led by families who know grief and know how to provide other Coloradans with hope. Greg says if the Walton Penner Group wants to build a new stadium, they'll do like Stan and build it themselves. He says quit stirring the pot for a taxpayer-funded stadium. If they believe that, they could always come out and say it. See you next time.